Well, look at all these brand new shiny lager Schalden set Nockenwell. Let's try that again. Lager Schnellensnet Nockenwell. Well, I've got my Lager Schneckenwetz Nocken Schnells or whatever. They turned up at princely sum of £110, including postage. So currently this project is at 250 quid I paid for this head, which is unbelievable, isn't it? But it's one of the better heads I've seen. But it's a fucking lot of money. But that is the reality with classic bikes and classic bike parts. So yeah, I'm running at 360 quid so far, and I haven't really done anything. So this is going to be a make sure the missus isn't about. This is going to be getting on for £1,000 by the time I've finished. I reckon I'm going to be spending 1,000 quid on this head because we've got a long way to go. So anyway, I got my shell bearings. So I've got them out of the pack just to make sure that none of them are scratched or anything. So we've got a steel shell, 20A, standard, so standard size, not oversize. We don't want oversize. So yeah, they're all pretty immaculate, undamaged at the moment. So I did a compression check. So this is a cold compression check and a dry compression check with open throttle. So there's a number of ways you can do a compression check. Obviously you need a gauge. But I didn't want to start the engine because it's a damp day and you don't start engines on damp days like today. Because and then, you know, if you do take it for a good long ride, get the engine really warm all the way through. Otherwise, basically what happens is you take all that moisture out of the air and put it in your engine, which you don't want. So anyway, getting back to this, so cylinder 1, 155, 240, 345, 445, all close-ish, but some variation, and we'll probably find out why there's a variation along the way. So air pressure today is 1.1 bar, or 1100 millibars. That's an average, which is 15.95 psi. So I've worked out my compression ratios are from 9.77 to 10.7. So the static compression ratio in this engine is 10.25 to 1, I think, measured. So yeah, in the ballpark. If the engine was hot and there was plenty of better sealing on the piston rings, we'd get higher. I have had up to 175 psi during the summer on cylinder number 1. Cylinder number 1 is always the highest. I'm not sure why, but maybe we'll find out. Maybe all 3 of the other cylinders has a valve passing, but we will find that out. That's my guess is what's going on. Because yeah, well, I'll get to why that might be as well in future episodes. So I just thought I'd do that check just as a base point, and then when I've finished all this I can do another check and see what it is. So all 4 plugs looking very healthy, nice mixture there. So you want, well, I want brown electrode and insulation heading towards the lighter end of the scale. So I like to run a fairly lean mixture, which doesn't help temperature admittedly, but I've always found when you run a mixture slightly on the lean side, you will get a shitload more power, and especially torque at low RPM. So that's what I head for. Another note on these are Nipodenso. I don't use NGK anymore. I've had so many NGK plug failures over the years that I don't bother with them. So these are equivalent to a NGK in the 9 sort of area. So they are a colder plug than an 8, which is normally specified, and running a colder plug helps the temperature, helps keep the combustion temperature down a tiny bit maybe, but also makes the plugs last a lot longer. So basically these are a colder plug than the 8s. So fairly happy with that. So this is what I like to do when I'm taking something apart, is just record everything. So I've got the cam cover off, and we are at top dead center on 1 and 4. I've set up on my ignition. There's a little light that comes on which tells you when you're at top dead center, which is fantastic. You'll notice paint marks on these because I want to know if they've moved, and it doesn't look like any of them have moved. Now the cams. It's my intention to reuse these cams because they are a known quantity and they're in good condition, but you can see from the state of them that things have been getting rather hot. A lot of this staining you can see in marks, I think is from things getting rather hot. Everything looks like it's running too hot. We've got some slight scoring. You can't feel it with your finger on the cams, so cams are going to come out anyway. So I'll be taking these out, and I will be doing an inspection on them, and I'll be comparing them against the other set of cams and then deciding which cams I'm going to use. I might even mix them up. I might even use the best one of these cams and the best one of the other cams, because the other cams, there are slight issues with them that can be remedied. But anyway, so these are GPZ Unitrack cams, and you can see that they only just fit in the head, and this is the maximum lift you can get on a cam in a Zed Head cylinder head without modifying the head. You can see my modified center chain tension block there. Normally they would be rubber pads with little washers and fittings in them, but they deteriorate very quickly and go brittle, and then fall apart, fall into your sump, which is not a good idea, but also then your chain becomes loose, thrashing around, and fucking wrecks everything in its path. So that's why I've got these aluminium bar replacements. But it all looks good in here so far. Nothing's moved, nothing looks too bad. I've got these APE end plugs. Hopefully I can reuse them, but I have had to modify each of these plugs to fit in each position because this head is not straight. So hopefully I can reuse them in the other head, because basically you've got to get these surfaces absolutely flush on these engines, otherwise the gasket has no chance of sealing, and these are known leak points. That's why you can see it's a silicon remaining around here, so you've got to put silicon all around here. Basically, you don't have to worry about in here. You can see there might have been a slight bit of leaking, but not a hell of a lot. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment. So I'm going to whip the cams out and go from there.